What if everything you thought you knew about Meghan Markle was a carefully choreographed illusion? What if the fairy tale Duchess, the global humanitarian, the Hollywood success story, had a secret past buried beneath luxury yacht decks and sealed hotel envelopes? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates, because that's exactly what a new explosive documentary is suggesting. And the footage is so raw, so undeniable, that insiders say Meghan turned pale the moment she saw the first trailer drop. Not because it was just rumors anymore, but because someone with a name, a face, and a digital paper trail decided it was time to talk. And when they did, they brought backup, time-stamped receipts, diary entries, a yacht manifest, and a rate so low it stunned even veteran investigators. $100 an hour. Let that sink in. The woman who now rubs shoulders with royals and billionaires was allegedly once listed for less than the price of a luxury handbag. In an industry where high-end yacht girls fetch thousands for a single evening, that number wasn't just low. It was humiliating. And that's exactly why this documentary is making waves far beyond the doc. But before we dive in, let's take a step back. Why now? Why is this coming to the surface in 2026? After all the interviews, the Oprah sit-downs, the Netflix series, the Spotify flops, why this? Why her? Because the timing couldn't be worse or more perfect. Meghan's popularity is plummeting. Her public image, once polished and pristine, has taken hit after hit. Serena Williams has reportedly cut ties. Tyler Perry's recent remarks didn't exactly scream royal support. And her multi-million-dollar Netflix deal? Cancelled. Quietly. Coldly. Without fanfare. In the vacuum of that collapse, this documentary stepped in. And it didn't whisper. It shouted. Titled, Yacht Secrets. The industry's hidden faces, the film doesn't just hint. It names. It shows. It connects dots that were once dismissed as online gossip and Twitter threads. From exclusive parties in Monaco to a leaked contract allegedly featuring Meghan's initials, the documentary doesn't waste time. One producer bluntly states, "We followed the money, and it led straight to her." And here's where it gets even messier. The documentary isn't just a rehash of old gossip. It introduces new voices. People who were there. Former associates. Industry veterans. A yacht steward. A former roommate. All speaking up, some with pixelated faces, others with full-blown interviews. And at the center of it all, a single folder, buried in a European server, labeled with a name. Her name. But the worst part? This might only be the beginning. Because while the documentary exposes a series of damning receipts, the final minutes hint at something darker. Something ongoing. A second part already in production. A list of names. And a clip. That might be the most damaging footage yet. And just when you think the story's about to fade out, a familiar face from Meghan's early days reappears. A woman who claims to know what really happened in Monaco. On that yacht. With that billionaire. But what she says next, that will change everything. She said she was just there for the sunset. But what really happens on those luxury yachts docked off the coast of Monaco, Ibiza, and Dubai isn't about sipping champagne or posing for glamorous Instagram shots. It's a different world. A world where the line between luxury and desperation blurs fast. And Meghan Markle, according to multiple voices in this new documentary, walked that very tightrope. Let's be clear, yachting isn't about sailing. At least, not in this context. In high society, yachting has become a thinly veiled term for something more transactional. It's an open secret, one that's been whispered about in modeling circles, elite private events, and red carpet afterparties for years. Beautiful women, often aspiring actresses or influencers, are flown out to luxury destinations under the guise of hospitality work or brand hosting. But behind closed doors, there's often another arrangement entirely. Now ask yourself this. What does someone chasing fame do when doors just won't open? According to one former industry organizer interviewed in the documentary, a lot of girls just needed a break. Some wanted rent money. Some saw it as networking. But every single one told themselves they'd only do it once. And then they'd do it again. The documentary lays this all out with chilling calmness. And right in the middle of that explanation, a name card flashes, California. The first time Meghan's name was mentioned, it wasn't shouted. It was slipped in like a casual memory, like an old photo someone tried to forget. A man, unblurred, confident, a retired party promoter, recalls a 2015 trip to the south of France. We had a group come in from Toronto. Some American girls, too. One was sharp, smart, said she was an actress. But she was reserved. Cold almost. Like she was calculating every move. He pauses, then adds, I remembered her because she stood out. Not in a good way. Like she didn't want to be there, but she needed to be. That one line sticks with you, doesn't it? She needed to be. And here's where it starts to twist. Back then, Meghan wasn't famous. She was still climbing, still hustling, still knocking on doors that only opened for those with connections or currency of another kind. Her gig on Deal or No Deal had ended. Suits had barely taken off. And according to one former stylist interviewed, she'd grown tired of waiting. So when an invitation to host a VIP event on a luxury yacht came through mutual contacts, she said yes. She wasn't alone. The documentary shows wide shots of those infamous yacht parties. Dozens of women, all smiling, all glittering, and yet all replaceable. But Meghan didn't just attend one. According to the crew member, she became a regular face. Always distant, always watching, never staying past a certain hour. She had a rule, he says. She never drank, never stayed the night. But she always came back. The implication? She wasn't just passing through. She was part of the circuit. And what happened on one specific yacht, off the coast of Monaco, during a closed-door event with a foreign billionaire, changed everything. Because someone brought a camera. And what they captured wasn't just blurry background footage, it was focused, intentional, and someone made a copy. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. You'd expect the number to be high, right? Thousands. Tens of thousands, even. After all, this is Meghan Markle we're talking about. The Duchess, the global icon, the face that launched 1,000 headlines. But when the rate appeared on screen during the documentary, blunt, black and white, impossible to ignore, viewers froze. $100. That's all it said. Next to a code name, a date, a client ID, and initials that matched Meghan's perfectly. $100 an hour. Not a typo. Not speculation. A leaked contract from an elite hospitality agency used to discreetly book women for high-net-worth private events. According to the investigative team behind the doc, the file was buried in a 2014 server linked to an overseas agency used by European oligarchs and Middle Eastern royalty. The files had been encrypted, buried under layers of proxy accounts, until now. And what they uncovered wasn't just Meghan. It was a list, a lineup, dozens of women, some models, some influencers, a few actresses, but one name stood out, and not just because of the initials. The rate. Hers was the lowest. Why? That's the question the documentary asks, and brutally attempts to answer. A former agency liaison, who agreed to speak anonymously, says this. She was new, not yet famous. She didn't have the leverage others did. But she was hungry. And she was efficient. Efficient. Like it's a job. A service. A business. This wasn't the Meghan who spoke of compassion and community. This wasn't the Meghan who wept in interviews about feeling unheard. This was someone playing a long game. And she was willing to start at the bottom to get to the top. Now pause for a moment. How does this reconcile with the Meghan the world was sold? The humanitarian? The empowered woman? The royal rebel? Does it? Or does it make more sense than we'd like to admit? Desperate to escape the Hollywood middle tier. Desperate to climb. Desperate to be seen. And so, according to this damning document, she signed up. $100 an hour. No overnight stays. No repeats without approval. The terms are clear. The conditions, cold. The documentary brings in a cyber forensics expert who authenticates the metadata. The files weren't faked. The timestamps match. The IP traces back to a yacht charter agency with known ties to elite client events. Still think it's a coincidence? But here's the twist that no one expected. The manifest from a luxury yacht party in Monaco that same year lists her again. Not as a guest, not as talent, but under a code section labeled Specials. And who was the client that weekend? A powerful Middle Eastern investor whose face had been pixelated in photos, until now. The documentary flashes a moment, a grainy clip, barely a second long, where Meghan is seen walking toward the man, alone, away from the crowd. And then, The screen fades to black. Because what came next wasn't caught on camera, but it was recorded by someone else. And they've finally come forward. Sometimes the most devastating evidence doesn't come from hidden cameras. It comes from a pen, an old friend, a roommate, a witness who was there not because they were paid to be, but because they shared space, time, and secrets with Meghan long before the tiaras and titles. In the documentary's final segment, the producers do something no one expected. They reveal excerpts from a personal diary. Handwritten, dated, pages stained, edges worn, words frantic and emotional. The owner? A former roommate from Meghan's early days in Toronto during the Suits era. Someone who once considered Meghan a sister. And someone who, until now, had stayed completely silent. But now she was ready to talk. Her voice shakes in the interview. We were both chasing something. Acting gigs. Recognition. Stability. But Meghan, she was always more strategic. More controlled. She had this way of vanishing for a weekend and coming back different. Polished. Quiet. Distant. She flips open the diary to a specific date, July 11th, 2014. She left that night wearing a dress she never wore again. Told me she had a private invite-only party. Came back 3 days later with a new bag, cash in hand, and an unreadable expression. The entries don't hold back. One line reads, I asked her if it was worth it. She said, what choice do I have? And that question still echoes. What choice did she have? The roommate hands over a letter Meghan wrote herself, torn and signed, never sent. It reads like a confession. Half-finished thoughts. Mentions of fake names. Clients. Embarrassment. A line stands out. I keep telling myself it's temporary. That one day they'll know me for who I really am. But the most chilling twist isn't the diary. It's the woman who never made it to the final screening. One of the documentary's key contributors. A former yacht staffer who confirmed Meghan's presence on 2 specific voyages was scheduled to attend the premiere. She vanished days before. Phone off. Social media deleted. No response. Gone. Was she threatened? Paid off? Silenced? Producers won't say. But the tension is real. And then comes the final moment. The damning clip teased throughout the entire documentary. Grainy, but unmistakable. Meghan, on the dock of that infamous Monaco yacht, standing beside the billionaire client. A few seconds of conversation. She turns, looks at the camera, freezes. She saw it. She knew. And just before the clip cuts, a voice is heard faintly, someone calling her real name, not Meghan, but the alias used on the guest list. The producers zoom in, frame by frame. Her face isn't smiling. It's pale, like she just realized something she thought was buried had surfaced. And then the screen fades. But just before the credits roll, a single line appears. Part 2 begins filming next month. More names, more footage, and this time, the royal family is watching. She thought it would stay hidden. A few blurred weekends, some high-end yachts, names whispered, payments untraceable, memories sealed by silence and shame. Meghan Markle built an empire on reinvention, on shedding her past, and painting a new version of herself, one that fit the palace gates, the camera lens, the global sympathy vote. But when that grainy footage played, everything cracked. Because it wasn't just the clip. It was the cold $100 per hour receipt. It was the former roommate's diary stained with regret. It was the disappearance of a key voice right before she was about to speak out. These weren't just scattered claims anymore. This was a pattern, a trail. And Meghan's face, as seen in that final frame, blank, ghost white, staring into a camera she didn't know was there, told the story louder than any headline. Now let's go back to that original question. What if everything you thought you knew about Meghan Markle was just the surface? Think about it. For years, she's shaped her story, crafted it to perfection. From struggling actress to duchess, from victim of the crown to global feminist icon. The press was racist. The royals were cold. The world misunderstood her. And maybe some of that is true. But what if the real reason she was always running was because she knew what was chasing her? What if the only person she was really hiding from was herself? That's what makes this documentary more than just entertainment. It forces us to look closer, not just at Meghan, but at the way we're sold stories. Polished narratives, perfectly curated public images, all while the truth is stuffed in a drawer, locked in a diary, or sitting on a hard drive halfway across the world. And here's the real kicker. This isn't over. The producers have already confirmed part 2 is coming. And this time, it's going global. More footage, more names, more files from that encrypted database, some allegedly connected.